Back with another video for you today. Today I'm wearing no hat. I like to do these videos when I go get my hair done, so I did my hair today. I got it cut nicely because it's been growing wild, and usually I like to wear the hat, even though my hat is my look and personality of this channel. Anyway, today you'll see me without my hat, but this is a tag video. I was recently tagged by Beauty Meow, and she did a video called One Fragrance to Rule Them All. Challenge. It's a challenging video, a challenging idea, and it's a tag video. She tagged me among many other YouTubers. So today I'm going to talk to you about that one fragrance to rule them all. So if you want to find out what mine is, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into this channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And I wanted to say thank you to Beauty Meow, Kristen, thank you. She tagged me in this video, like I said, among many other YouTubers. And I took on the challenge to do it because I like the challenge of figuring things out like this. And it's very, very challenging. Actually, I tossed up so many fragrances, and the challenge is basically one fragrance to rule them all. If it's just one fragrance that I can wear, a woman right there can wear, a younger kid right there can wear, an older man right there can wear, anybody, any age range, any sex, all of that good stuff. And it's a really, really challenging tag video. And what I wanted to do was also not feature a unisex fragrance. I wanted to feature a men's fragrance that I wear. In fact, in her video, she chose Bottega Veneta by Bottega Veneta. To me, it's a very leathery fragrance with patchouli. And even though it's targeted to women, I think it's very unisex to me, and men can totally wear it. And I wanted to go in that same direction as well, because I thought that choosing a unisex fragrance would make this challenge a lot easier. So I decided to eliminate all unisex fragrances because I had many unisex fragrances in mind, and I thought these would be perfect, these would be perfect, these would be perfect. No, I didn't go with those. In fact, I was tossing up different fragrances. Like I was thinking of going with freshies, because the one fragrance to rule them all challenge is also for fragrances you can wear both in winter time and also in the summertime, when it's really hot out, when it's really cool out, cold out, and during the winter. So summer hot, winter cold. It's one that you can wear in both temperatures, and in the summertime it's not going to overwhelm. It's not going to be like cloying and things like that. And in the winter time, it's going to have pretty good legs and kind of last and kind of perform. And the fragrances that I guess that generally these kind of fragrances are more like signature scents for me, rather than it's not for someone like me, first of all, because I have a collection that's like out of this world, that's like overwhelmingly a lot of fragrances. This is a kind of a challenge for people that maybe have 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 fragrances, and they focus on maybe even just 1 or 2 signature fragrances, because this fragrance can be one of those fragrances that they're wearing constantly, day in, day out. It's the same fragrance every day of the year, and people recognize these people or whoever it is by their scent, because it's the same fragrance they wear over and over again. Me, I'm not that kind of person. I get tired of fragrances. I'm always looking for the new one, the next one. I guess this is a journey after all, and it's a hobby. It's a great hobby for me to find the next best fragrance, and I'm always smelling and looking and exploring, trying to find the next greatest fragrance, because you go through the motions and you check out fragrance after fragrance after fragrance, and then you stumble onto that one fragrance that's kind of becoming like your holy grail for a little bit, and then you move on again and you find the next one. Anyway, that challenge is a pretty challenge. I mean, it's a pretty big challenge, especially for someone like me, and I think for the one that wears the signature fragrances and the one that has the minimal amounts of fragrances in their collection is a challenging one for them as well. But what I went with after all is Dior Homme, this one right here. Not Dior Homme Parfum, or not Dior Homme Intense, not Dior Homme Cologne, not Dior Homme Sport, not Dior Homme Eau, just Dior Homme, because This is the original and the one and only that started it. It started out in 2005. That was the initial launch of the fragrance, and then they relaunched it in 2011. I'm assuming they're overdue for another launch. It's been 8 years since this particular version. So I didn't go with Dior Homme Parfum because I felt like, even though that's my favorite out of the two, and they're very close smells wise, there's nuances of course and intensities when you go from the Dior Homme to the Dior Homme Intense to the Dior Homme Parfum, but I went with the Dior Homme because it's the original and it's one that's more universal, that you can wear in the summertime and not be cloyed by it, even though it might get a little heavy if you overspray. And it also is perfect for, I think, the winter time as well, because you can spray a little more in the winter and kind of like make the fragrance last a little longer. But why did I choose this one? So this one has, let me read you the notes: lavender, sage, bergamot at the top. These notes are from Fragrantica. I was at the Dior Homme website, and the Dior website, and they don't really mention the notes except for, like, I think they mentioned iris and woody notes, and that's pretty much it. But here we have lavender, sage, bergamot at the top. In the heart you have iris, amber, cacao, and in the base you have vetiver, patchouli, and leather. So I tossed through so many different fragrances. I wanted to make sure the fragrances can be both appreciated by both men and women, and this one has this like very, very significant note of iris. It's the main player, and iris typically, normally, before I got into this hobby in 2012, I associated with women's fragrances. I'm obsessed with the note of iris now, one of the most expensive ingredients in perfumery, but typically I associate with women's fragrances, and I figured iris, a men's fragrance, a woman's fragrance can be, a woman can appreciate the iris as well. So that was the first rule. I wanted to find a note that is also very, very appreciated by both sexes, and there's iris fragrances targeted to women, and of course iris fragrances targeted to men. Here in this case I find Dior Homme to be pretty unisex. Even my co-star Ashley loves this fragrance and she wears it over and over again. So both sexes do appreciate this fragrance. The other thing was it does have some gourmandy elements like cacao. So cacao is for me, any gourmand fragrance is very unisex right off the bat to begin with. So and those were kind of like the reasons why I decided to go with this one, because of the iris and the cacao note, because I felt like those are what makes the fragrance more unisex rather than more targeted to men. The other thing is this one has the lavender at the top, and the lavender is pretty prominent when you first spray it. Not as much as that sage note, but that lavender, you pick it up. It's a herbal aromatic quality to it, but it's freshened up with the bergamot, so you have this like nice beautiful blend, fusion of bergamot and lavender to start up with. And I felt like those notes are very, very unisex to begin with. Now, going back to my list of fragrances I was deciding through, I was tossing up a lot of citruses, and I thought, you know what, I don't want to settle on a citrus because I felt like citrus was going to be too easy. Both sexes would appreciate citruses, equally. I felt maybe a slight bit leaning to masculine rather than feminine, but I felt like it was just too easy to go with the citrus, so I went with this one. Now, in the heart, of course, it is iris. It's all about iris here with Dior Homme, and again, iris, cacao, very, very unisex notes. The only issue is this does dry down to be a little more masculine, but there are notes in women's fragrances, like vetiver is in women's fragrances. Patchouli is so prominently noticeable in women's fragrances. You got it in Chanel Coco, Coco Mademoiselle, of course Chanel, Mugler's Angel, and all those kind of fragrances. So patchouli is very prominent in a woman's fragrances, and of course in men too. Although I don't find the patchouli in here as prominent as the other notes, like the cacao and the iris and the amber, but I felt like reason for me to make this fragrance the one fragrance to rule them all. In the end, I did want that Dior Homme Parfum, but it will not work in the heat. I mean, especially if you live in places that get really hot and humid, like extremely hot and humid. Even though I will go with it, I could wear fragrances like Dior Homme Parfum, I felt like the masses will not go with something like that. They would most likely go with something like this. So I did end up going with this one. Of course, in the base you also have that leather, and just like any woman's fragrances or men's fragrances, men's targeted or even unisex fragrances, leather can be a very unisex note. For me, leather does lean more masculine, but Chanel's Coeur de Russie, I think, is a very, not necessarily a very ultra feminine, but it is more on the feminine unisex side of leathers. And it's a leather. It's a very charred, burned, buttery leather smell. And I felt like, you know what, this is the ultimate fragrance, the one fragrance to rule them all. Both men and women can wear it, any ages. It has a very young quality to it, although it's a bit more mature than very, very young. But I have my nephew who's not even 20 years old yet, and he wears fragrances like this, and he's appreciating fragrances like this. So I felt like, you know what, young people can appreciate it. Older people can appreciate it. I think it's a universally loved. Both sexes, men and women, would be able to appreciate this particular fragrance, Dior Homme. And once again, I did want to go with Dior Homme Parfum. I can't go with it, even though if I was able to cheat, I would go with that. But Dior Homme, I think, is still a great release. It smells great. It's classic. It's very, very classy. It's a stylish fragrance. It's a bit on the niche side as well, because to me, it smells very luxury. Like, it's a very, very luxury. It has very classy quality, kind of like a expensive smell to it, and that's what I love about it. Just the overall smell of this fragrance. All genres, well, all flankers. A couple maybe not so much, but all flankers smell just phenomenal, and you can smell the expensiveness. This retails for about $100. I thought I wrote down the price. It's about $95 for 100 ml. I think maybe close to 100, or I think it's 95, but you can probably find it for about $75, $80 at discounters. These things do not go on discounts too much. I don't know why. And of course, the Dior Homme Parfum issue is still out there. So many different things are being mentioned about that fragrance. It's discontinued. I just received a note from Dior that said it's finally discontinued, and then when I was in Europe in May, they said nope, it's fine, you can get it in Europe, not in the USA. So there's a whole dilemma with it, but still we have Dior Homme, and we can appreciate it by both sexes, all ages, all that good stuff. Anyway, this is my pick, the one fragrance to rule them all, challenge tag video from Beauty Meow. I'm going to tag 4 people, and I wrote them down. So first of all, I'm going to tag my perfume vlog, my friend Aguilos. He has a channel. I'm also going to tag Huelamo Mucho, who I did a collab with recently, Fragrance with Steve, and then Mr. Zayas81. I'm tagging 4 people, and I will notify them as well, but I hope you guys get to do this video as well. Thank you for watching my one fragrance to rule them all challenge tag video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.